Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clark on YouTube. Oh no!
This is so much fun for me because I get to create videos for fans of everything Disney. And what I mean by that is I not only get to create videos about Descendants, I get to create videos about Tangled, I get to create videos about High School Musical, I get to create videos about zombies. Whatever the fan wants, the fan will get to see here on this YouTube channel. And the cool thing is, I was always just as big of a fan of this as you are. So it's just as much fun for me making the videos as it is for you watching it, whether you watch it by yourself, whether you watch it as a family, because technology is so advanced now that I have the opportunity to reach so many families from all different aspects and walks of life. And it makes this YouTube channel so much fun. Thank you again to everybody who's subscribed. Thank you to the YouTube algorithm for always putting out and recognizing that I have a video out on YouTube, no matter what the video was about. It could have been about zombies. It could have been about Descendants. It could have been about Tangled. It could have been about High School Musical. And today is going to be a really fun day for fans of Tangled. I've noticed that I got a lot of fans of Tangled watching these videos. They're always looking for Tangled videos on YouTube, so hopefully they're going to find this video today as we celebrate Mandy Moore's induction into the Hollywood Walk of Fame that I've seen so many of my childhood idols be inducted to over the years, including Kermit the Frog, which wasn't yesterday. But I remember seeing his induction into the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I remember seeing a lot of my favorite wrestlers being inducted into the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I remember when Vince McMahon got his Hollywood Walk of Fame star about 20 years ago. I remember watching that. But Mandy Moore, for those of you who don't know, was the 2000th induction into the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She got her own star, and she was probably the most excited to have gotten her own star. And for me as a fan of Mandy Moore, it goes back to when I was a teenager. My first podcast, my original podcast, premiered on Sunday, August 15th, 1999. And that was when you were just streaming your voice, playing music, and interviewing a scout or guest that you would have on your podcast. August 15th, 1999, my podcast came out, and on my podcast, I would talk about things like Westlife, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. God, I was a real geek years ago. I was one of those guys that would take his Walkman CD player to school. I would chase after the bus because I'd be a little bit late putting all my stuff together for school. And I'd be running down the street chasing after the bus. Luckily for me, I knew the bus driver, and he would back the bus up and pick me up, and we'd go to school. And I remember sitting on the bus listening to all these iconic pop stars when they had their premiere albums. I remember when NSYNC's album came out in 1999. I remember when the Backstreet Boys had their first album. That was all the way back in 1997. And then, of course, here comes Mandy Moore in 1999, just a couple of years later. And the first album that Mandy Moore had was released in December of 1999, the first year that my podcast had premiered. So I came a couple of months prior to Mandy Moore, but I remember staying awake watching the YTV Hit List Countdown show on Friday nights and watching Mandy Moore's progression up the charts. And she was one of the highest successors on the hit list, on any music chart, I should say, back in 1999. It was truly unprecedented watching the rise to stardom that Mandy Moore had. And by 2002, she had this movie called Walk to Remember, which touched the hearts of so many people. Of course, it focused on the relationship between herself and Shane West's character, Landon Carter. It was an amazing, amazing movie. And that was the movie that, catapulted her to superstardom. And I was a real sucker for these emotional movies, guys. I used to watch The Notebook all the time. I used to watch P.S. I Love You all the time. So Walk to Remember kind of fell into that category. But for me, one of the things that I will never, ever forget Mandy Moore for as a contributor to entertainment was the fact that she was the voice of one of Disney's most iconic princesses of all time, Rapunzel, which was a movie that was the 8th most successful animated feature from Disney of all time. Of course, the number one most successful animated feature from Disney was Frozen. We talked about that the other day here on this show, and of course it was because of the unbelievable contributions of Christian Bale and Donna Menzel as the voices of Elsa and Anna, who have a special place in my heart, of course, because of all the merchandise that I've collected over the years for Frozen. And Mandy Moore has done so much. She's done an incredible amount for Disney. Of course, the success of Tangled I just mentioned there, but also I think one of the most iconic things that she'll be remembered for is her music. And I mentioned how in 1999 her first album came out, and then her self-titled album Mandy Moore was to follow her first one. That was in 2001. I believe that was on August 17th of 2001. And her self-titled album was the first opportunity that she had the chance to create her own music and take creative control of everything that she was able to do. And that's when Mandy Moore really, really skyrocketed. She ended up being in over 60 movies. Some of the movies she was in, of course, was Walk to Remember, a couple of Tangled long animated movies, and, of course, The Princess Diaries, which we all remember her for. And if Mandy Moore was in 60 movies, I've seen probably 55 of them. Really, really big fan of Mandy Moore. And as I mentioned, I used to stay up late at night and I used to listen to entertainment podcasts that used to be on like 1 a.m. in the morning talking about the success of people like Mandy Moore, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and Westlife. And you wouldn't believe, the thing that really amazes me about fans of music today is that there's always this one fan that you will meet or you will come across. Maybe you have a friend who is just stuck on music in the 90s. Maybe they were a fan of the Backstreet Boys. The Backstreet Boys were probably one of my all-time favorites. And I know that's kind of uncharacteristic for a guy to say on a podcast, but I was a really big fan of the Backstreet Boys. I don't think there was a night in my life that I would lie awake listening to that I never listened to the Backstreet Boys. The Backstreet Boys were so fun for me to listen to. And just seeing how many fans Mandy Moore took to as the character Rapunzel was just amazing. One of the biggest reasons why Tangled is so successful, yes, you had Zachary Levi as the voice of Eugene Ryder Flynn in that movie, but the personality of Mandy Moore is just second to none. I can't even begin to tell you how amazed I was at the work Mandy Moore did portraying the character Rapunzel. I think without a shadow of a doubt, if not for the success of Rapunzel, Mandy Moore probably would have never gotten that star, that Walk of Fame star that she received in 2019. And I'm really happy that today I found that, because I was looking down through the dates for Today in History, for This Day in History at Disney.com. And there was really nothing significant to talk about. So I, thought about making another Descendants video, which I will do for you coming up next week, because there's a lot of new Descendants footage that I want to talk about on this channel. But today is a really significant day because we're celebrating Mandy Moore's Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame, which is a huge accomplishment for everybody. I mean, she joins the likes of, like I said, Kermit the Frog, NSYNC, who a couple of years got their Hollywood Walk of Fame star. And I remember how big of a celebration that was. They were on Ellen that same week. And I remember watching that, and I was just so blown away by how many NSYNC fans came out in support of her. And then Mandy Moore had just as big of a fan response and will continue to. Now, for those of you who don't know, in Canada alone, Tangled made over $200 million. Canada and the United States alone, $200 million came in, and another $350 million were made worldwide because of the success of Tangled. $550 million came in because of this one. As I mentioned, the eighth most successful film in Disney history that was ever animated. And of course, the number one position is occupied by Frozen. But I remember being a teenager, being so enamored by the success of people like Mandy Moore, NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys. It was just so fun watching them. If there was one thing that I wish I could do, actually, I wish I could pull a Phineas and Ferb and create a time machine in my backyard. If not a roller coaster, a time machine, and go back in time and just experience the rise of these 90s bands and these 90s artists because they were so phenomenal. And lucky for me, my original podcast premiered around the time when they were at the heights of their popularity, and it was just so much great chemistry that I remember seeing. But $550 million was a lot for Tangled to take in, so I thought that I would show some Tangled footage. And the piece of Tangled footage that I found was actually from one of my favorite video games of all time, Kingdom Hearts. Now, Kingdom Hearts 3 was when, of course, the Corona world themed around the Tangled characters made its premiere. But I remember this one scene, out of all the cutscenes, which made up about 45 minutes of the game's footage, out of all the cutscenes from the Kingdom Hearts 3 video game, the scene where Eugene and Rapunzel are out in the boat and they see the fireflies light up the sky for the first time, it was an unforgettable experience for me seeing this scene. It brought back so many childhood memories. Of course, Tangled came out in 2011, right when my YouTube channel, my original one, was at the heights of its popularity too. I talked about Tangled a lot in 2011 on my podcast because I was a really big fan of it because of so many iconic things, the personalities of the characters, the relationships and the friendships of the characters, how even the insignificant characters made such a significant impact and left an impression on all of our hearts and will forever for all time. And I remember just seeing the scene and my face lit up with the biggest smile ever, I think, because of just how much detail was in it, how you had the characters down looking goofy, making their way through the worlds in the video game, and they were so amazed by the fireflies lighting up the sky. I'm going to show it to you now in a second. I'm actually really excited for you guys to be a part of this. And for those of you who have not played the Kingdom Hearts video game, you should. Just give me a second. I'll just go over and get the Kingdom Hearts video game. I have the entire series here down underneath the side. I don't know if you guys can still see me in the camera, but this is the original Kingdom Hearts series. It was released a number of years ago, so it was released on PlayStation 4. And in this set, of course, you had the original Kingdom Hearts video games. They were remastered. They originally were released on PlayStation 2 years ago. But this one here, this was the video game that had the Tangle scene included on it. It was an amazing, amazing scene, and Square Enix did such a phenomenal job putting this together. And that's why I think to this day, the Kingdom Hearts series was probably one of my all-time favorites, and I'm really going to be excited to show this to you. So, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to hit the subscribe button. I want you to hit the like button. I want you to let me know how you feel about Tangled. Were you excited when the Tangled series made its premiere back in, I think it was 2017? The Tangled series made its premiere between 2016 and 2017. I loved the Tangled series because that's when we got some new authentic songs like Wind in My Hair. And I'll let you guys in a little secret. Every morning I have this Disney playlist on my YouTube account, and the one song that I listen to every morning on my Bluetooth headset is Wind in My Hair, which was the main theme song of Tangled, both the original recorded single and the slower version of the song. I love it. I absolutely love it. And all the other songs that were put out there as part of the Tangled soundtrack, it's amazing. You guys may think I'm a little bit of a geek listening to the Tangled soundtrack, a guy doing a podcast talking about the Tangled soundtrack, but it is an amazing soundtrack, and it is one that I would really recommend to all families. And if you've never watched Tangled before, man, you've got to. Hopefully this will inspire you to do it. So, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me your thoughts on Tangled in the comments. I would really, really appreciate it. Now, let's get to this. So this took me a while to find, but I was really excited. I was jumping up and down when I found this because I was really wanting to show you this video for a really long time. This, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is a pure illustration of why Rapunzel will forever have one of the most vibrant personalities of any Disney princess that I think I've ever seen animated or had the privilege of seeing throughout all the years that I've been a part of the Disney History Calendar. Without a doubt, Rapunzel became one of my favorite Disney characters of all time because of her personality, because of her iconic message of how anything is possible. All you've got to do is put your heart into whatever you want to achieve in life, and even the most impossible goals to obtain are achievable. And that, I think, is one of the most powerful messages that a Disney princess has ever been able to convey to anyone who's ever been a fan of this kind of stuff. So I hope that you guys keep hitting the like button. I hope you guys keep hitting the subscribe button for more great content that's coming out. I've got a lot of great videos planned for you guys over the next couple of weeks, and I hope that you can join me for them. But I can't do this without your support, so please be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we are going to watch this video together, and we are going to have a whole lot of fun doing it. Let me know what your reaction is to this video, because I really, really appreciate it when fans get in on the conversation. Let's check this video out. I'm just excited to watch this as you are, because I haven't seen this in a really long time. I think the last time I saw it was when I played the game series through its entire completion. And that took me about a whole month to complete the whole series. I think I put in about 50 hours of gameplay, but this will forever be one of my favorite scenes from the game. Let's check this out together.
I've been looking out a window for 18 years, dreaming about what it might feel like when those lights rise in the sky. What if it's not everything I dreamed it would be?
One of the things I really appreciated about Mandy Moore when she first got the call to be Rapunzel's voice for both the movie and the series after she had auditioned was just how excited she was to portray this character, because it was one of the first times that she was actually going to have the opportunity to be a Disney character and be the voice of an animated character since her kids had been born. And I remember seeing the reactions of her kids, and it was just so amazing how much support she received, not only from fans but from her family as well, who were right beside her. It kind of reminded me of how when Jodie Benson was the Little Mermaid back in 1989, and she took her kids to see the movie for the first time years after it had been released, and their reactions were actually just priceless. I actually saw an audition video that Jodie Benson's daughter did for an onstage production of The Little Mermaid about 30 years after The Little Mermaid had been produced. And it just goes to show how much of an inspiration these iconic characters are to newer generations of fans, which I often find time and appreciating quite often.
It will be.
And what if it is? What do I do then?
Well, that's the good part, I guess. You get to go find a new dream.
I really appreciate how the voices tied in so significantly, and the friendship and the relationship that we saw between both Rapunzel and Eugene. I think the chemistry between Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi, whose birthday was a couple of months ago, actually. Happy birthday, Zachary. But I really appreciate how he responds to her in such a gentle way. I think that's the way that I think almost every Disney character, when they're exemplifying a relationship between two characters, should respond, because it really makes you feel in touch with the character, and it really makes you feel as if you're a part of what you're watching, which is something that I really, really have found time in really appreciating over the years. Again, in the last video that I produced for you guys, I talked about how there were these characters who were, they had quick shots with the camera, and you could see the reactions on their faces when when certain things were happening of significance, and you just saw that reaction there from Pascal. I think oftentimes these, I guess I could refer to them as insignificant reactions in the minds of a lot of people, but it just goes to show just how significant and how important, when the camera shows the reactions of these characters who say nothing, how much it actually means to the movie. And that's one thing I noticed about Pascal's reaction, Olaf's from the other day. I really appreciate how Disney animators really had this knack for doing that kind of thing, and I hope they keep doing it for years to come.
I have something for you, too. I should have given it to you before, but I was just scared. And the thing is, I'm not scared anymore. You know what I mean?
I'm starting to. I'm sorry. Everything is fine. There's just something I have to take care of.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
It's all right, Pascal.
I really appreciate how she always had this friendship with the other characters that she was friends with, and how she would comfort them by saying everything was okay. There's just something about some of these princesses that they had. Some people just have this unbelievable ability to connect with the characters around them, and I think Mandy Moore was just golden with her relationship with the characters that she was friends with, like her friendship with Maximus, which was significantly highlighted in Tangled. Her friendship with Pascal. It's absolutely amazing how these people are just so in touch with their characters, and I really appreciate that, and I like that. Okay, let's switch over again. Do. All right, just give me a second now. I'll switch back over to my other program, and we'll close this thing out. So yeah, thank you guys so much for hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, and joining me for that video. It brought back a lot of fond memories when I was a teenager. I played Kingdom Hearts for the first time. I really, really appreciated how every Disney character you could think of was a part of that script. And when they started introducing characters from Tangled, Frozen, Monsters Incorporated, the Pirates of the Caribbean, by Kingdom Hearts 3 in 2019, it was a really, really heartfelt moment for me because Kingdom Hearts hadn't been produced for a number of years up until 2019, and I had so much fun playing that game, and it's one that comes as a highly recommended video game for me. If you have not played it, check it out. You will not regret it. You'll be hitting the subscribe button for this YouTube channel for many years to come, and I've got a lot of video games to talk about on this channel, which I will get to, as you see in that massive video game collection there in the background. But yeah, the scene where the sky lights up with the fireflies, it brought me back to my time when I was in the Northwest Territories and I saw the Northern Lights for the first time. And it was an unbelievable experience. And that's what it reminded me of, was when I saw that for the first time with my dad when we were coming across Canada. I've been in virtually every province of Canada over my lifetime. But seeing the Northern Lights for the first time was a tremendous experience. And after having seen Rapunzel's performance portrayed by Mandy Moore, I wonder how Sabrina Carpenter, who has been confirmed to be Rapunzel in the Tangled live action in 2026, 2027, how she's going to portray the character and how she's going to make it different from Mandy Moore. That's going to remain to be seen. But I'm really excited about the Tangled live action. I'm a huge fan of Disney live actions. I'm a huge fan of things like Beauty and the Beast, the Snow White live action. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I was a really big fan, too, of the Little Mermaid live action. I found it harder to get into that one because of how Halle Bailey's portrayal of the character was a lot different from Jodie Benson's back in 1989. But I guess they had to update the script. They had to update the portrayal of the characters. But one thing that I'm really looking forward to is to see how Sabrina Carpenter is going to be able to get the job done apart from Mandy Moore. But if you ask me, I think Mandy Moore's portrayal of Rapunzel, it couldn't have been done better by anybody else. She was so excited to have the opportunity to be a part of Disney's animated Rapunzel, and I'm just excited to see how Sabrina Carpenter will turn it around and make it different and separate it from everything else that's been done. And just to update you guys, there's going to be, I think there are 3 different projects before the live action of Tangled comes out. There's a stage production coming out from that. They're thinking about doing another sequel, although it seems virtually impossible to have Tangled 2 with how she lost her hair at the conclusion of the first one. So the blonde, long hair Rapunzel is not there, so the significance is gone. But there's always the possibility that it could happen because Disney's always had this thing of introducing magic at the last possible second. So maybe she'll regrow her golden locks. Who knows? But I would be in there for a second Tangled or a live action Tangled. I think Sabrina Carpenter could get the job done. I was a huge fan of her ever since Girl Meets World back in 2014. And I remember watching every episode of Girl Meets World, so I think I'll be there, probably sitting in the front row when the Tangled live action is finally released. Guys, I can't thank you enough for the unbelievable amount of support you have shown this YouTube channel. Hopefully fans of Tangled will find this video I know I got a lot of them subscribed to this YouTube channel, and I promise we will have lots of Tangled conversation, especially when the live action comes out. And if anything new comes out animated, I'll make sure I throw something out there. And I also found a lot of new Descendants videos as we get ready for this summer tour of Descendants and Zombies coming together. So hope maybe in the next video I do, I'll throw something out in the way of Descendants content for you guys. So keep on hitting the subscribe button, keep on showing your support, and we will see you again